Well, I'm just glad that you made the call to buy the jeans, because I feel like had you not, we probably aren't sitting here together today doing this, right? There probably is.
Can you imagine?
There's no Erik and Matt like ads. There's just some jerk named Erik and some dude that followed a dream named Matt, and they're both maybe like an ad separately in other places.
Yeah, like what if I had bought Wranglers? What if like that had happened, and what would I be doing?
You'd probably be at a rodeo.
Like, right, rodeo, talking about Brett Favre, maybe, like. Anywho, what are we here for today? Are we going to watch an ad? Oh,
yeah, all right. I'm sorry. Am I scaring you away? I am. I'm scaring you away.
Me? No, not at all.
So you want to watch the ad? You got an ad. Are we watching one ad? Because you said there's like a few of them, and I saw it, but like, which one are we going to do?
So we are going to watch Pioneers, but this is a part of a campaign called Go Forth.
Yeah.
So we're going to watch this ad because all of these spots are very similar, just different poems or whatever is the actual copy for them. And then I'm going to bring up a couple of the print pieces that went along with this because I think that they're kind of
yeah, I'm looking at some of them right now. I was actually going to bring some of them up if you didn't. So yeah.
No, I think that they're like bold and very interesting. I think this whole campaign was very interesting. So why don't we have a look at the ad and then discuss it? Okay. Is that what we do?
I think so.
Cool.
Pioneers. Oh, pioneers. Come, my tan-faced children. Follow well in order. Get your weapons ready. Have you your pistols? Have you your sharp-edged axes, pioneers, oh pioneers? For we cannot tarry here. We must march, my darlings. We must bear the brunt of danger. We, the youthful, sinewy races, all the rest on us depend. Pioneers, oh pioneers. Oh, you youths, Western youths, so impatient, full of action, full of manly pride and friendship. Plain I see you, Western youths. See you tramping with the foremost. Pioneers, oh pioneers. We debouch upon a newer, mightier world, varied world. Fresh and strong the world we seize. Pioneers, oh pioneers.
Do you wear Levi's?
Pardon?
Do you wear Levi's?
Oh,
I'm sorry,
yes.
Levis?
It's pronounced.
The preferred nomenclature is Levis. Do you wear Levis?
I do.
Yeah, you wearing Levis now?
I am, and that wasn't like on purpose.
What's your cut?
It's been a while since I've actually had to buy another pair and I think they changed it since these ads were out. Because back when these ads really first started coming out, that was like the boom of skinny jeans. That's what we called them. And then they sort of
511s.
Yeah. Then they sort of changed so I don't think they call them skinny jeans anymore. They're just I don't know what the fit is now called. Yeah.
So you don't know the number though, because they all have numbers, right? Those are 501s. They're showing,
501s. Right? Yeah.
The classic. That's the classic dungaree.
Yeah, I think I'm a 5'11" guy. I believe that's what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
If we wanted to get some really great video, I could lift up my shirt and but no, we're probably not going to do that.
I'm waiting. No. I'll let you know. I'll tell you what they are. I'll tell you what they are.
I assume they say it on that back patch, right?
Yeah, show me. I'll tell you what they are.
No, it's okay.
All right, whatever. The internet wants to know. You don't care about the internet though. Yeah, I think I have one pair currently. They're all like ripped up. I'm too like lazy to go buy more or even like go online to order more. 513, I think. Like I can't do the
Hmm.
511s because like I'm a very thin man. The 511s are like I'm not wearing pants. You know what I mean? Like they're like too thin. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Maybe it is 513 then, because I know that at one point there was like a difference between skinny jean and then super skinny, and like it's
Mhm.
definitely not super skinny, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
yeah. Hmm. Interesting. Now that
Yeah,
people know
so
that about us.
yeah, we're so good at this podcast thing. We give all the really massively entertaining and like fixating content right up front. So you like this? You like this ad?
I think a lot about this ad.
You think a lot about,
Genuinely.
oh, you think a lot about it.
I,
Like,
I,
is that
I,
like
I
a euphemism for you? Like you think about it? You think a lot about it? Like I think highly
it's
of it. I think a lot about it, or you just spend a lot of time thinking about it.
a little bit of both. I don't know that I think super highly about it. I think that I spend a lot of time thinking about it for some
Oh,
reason.
okay.
Um, and ever in like not in the sense of like, oh, since we started this podcast, I've been kind of like mulling it. It's
Mm,
like since this came out, I have like it just pops in my head every now and then, and I don't know exactly why. And over the last couple of days since we decided on this one, I have spent a little bit of time soul searching, maybe. Um,
doing some, so deciding on watching a Levis ad that instigated you to do some soul searching. I just want to make
Maybe
sure
a
I
little bit.
understand.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
That's a powerful ad. That's a powerful ad. All
Right.
right.
Right. And you know, obviously, I wouldn't necessarily consider myself the target because of my occupation. Um, but in 2008 I was, and I think that's really when I started deciding to wear Levi's. This made an impact on me back then. It resonated with me.
So what makes you not the
To
target
set,
now?
well, not
Because you
necessarily the
said of your
target, but
profession, so I
so
got
so
confused by that.
so okay, yeah. Maybe not necessarily. Okay, target was maybe the wrong word, but because I think about a lot of ads a lot, because I do a podcast about ads, because I write ads for a living, that
Right.
maybe
Right. Yep.
maybe maybe it's a little bit less impactful that I've been thinking about it a lot and doing soul
Okay.
searching, because, well, let's face it, like I think about a lot of ads a lot.
So
This
is
one in particular.
soul searching like your euphemism for like the fact that you're thinking a lot about this ad and like how it impacted you, or you're literally caused you to like have like a spiritual quest?
Okay, not spiritual quest. So maybe I
Okay.
was exaggerating that
That's
a
okay.
bit.
And I
But
like
no, hold
words.
on. Yeah, right. So what I was doing was trying to figure out how and why this worked on me at the time that it worked on me, because it absolutely 100% did. Right.
Got it. Yeah.
And also thinking
I get
about
it.
why it just randomly pops into my brain as frequently as it does. I'm not saying
How
weekly or
often?
monthly,
How often?
a couple times a year. I will
That's
just
a
think
lot,
about
I'd
it.
say, for an ad that
Right.
hasn't aired in like 12 or 13 years.
Right. Pops in my head all the time. And really the campaign itself. Right. But this one in particular, and what I came up with was, at that time, I was like sort of still figuring out what I was going to do with my life. Right. Um, and there was a great financial collapse. So this was during the Great Recession.
I
Not
remember
just
that. It was awesome. The Great Recession.
the good recession, the Great Recession. And maybe it was a little bit after it. I'm not positive, but and I was, like certainly kind of working jobs. I wasn't in a career necessarily. Really
Yeah.
just sort of finding myself.
Hmm.
Um, I've always been kind of like part a serious person and part kind of a fun, like goofy. But I certainly have a very serious side that comes out every now and then. I think this worked on me, especially with what we're going to look at in a moment, with the print stuff, because it was it really sort of takes a shot at like the like the norm, right? Like the people in suits are the ones that run the world, and I think it was powerful for me, because I knew that I would never want to be that person, but I also knew I wanted to be successful, that I wanted to be a part of something, but also be unique and original, and I liked that there was a good deal of history to Levi's, right? Like, I mean, they're literally saying pioneers. I mean, I know that it's Walt Whitman, but they're using Walt Whitman as like this call to arms almost, right? Like, do you feel that? Like that this isn't like a call to action, it's like more than that, because it's just so big and powerful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was really kind of what I came up with for myself, right? I was a little bit angry at the world because of, the economy. Like, people talk about it like kind of, oh yeah, the economy's bad, and it's like, yeah, but like that sucks, right? Like that sucks that like decisions that, these people in their ivory towers made are now affecting me, who had no part of that decision, no say in it, and now it's affecting me and my ability to start my career, and all of my friends, right? Like, I watched it. Like, I mean, this is right when we would have been graduating from college, right? And getting out there in the job market, and it was just, oh yeah, well, no, tough time to be in the job market. It's with the Great Recession going on, and and it's like, wait a minute, no, fuck that. Like, this sucks. Like, life is short, and it's gonna. I mean, really, like, if you look at things, it's put a lot of people my age several years behind in a lot of things, like in their career development, which then puts behind like house buying and wealth building and everything like that. And I liked that this was sort of like kind of
So
taking that anguish and sort of putting it into words for me.
yeah, and I get that. I think it shows how powerful the ad is, and how powerful an ad can be, and how it can leverage a time, a mood, make a social statement, while also selling you a product.
Right.
So essentially, the solution to all that is start wearing Levi's, stop wearing shirts, right? And like go out there and like get it done. All right. Like, make a new path, carve a new path, and if you're going to do that, you probably should be wearing Levi jeans, if you want to be successful. I think the use of Walt Whitman's, poem is, I mean, there's like 20 some stanzas in that poem, I think, and they obviously can't use all of them. It's a 60-second commercial. But I think that is, I think that was well done. I think, Walt Whitman, it kind of made like, kind of a call to action to America to kind of, find itself and reestablish itself, right? Around the time of the Civil War. You think he that was published right before the Civil War?
I don't know.
Something like that. It was around that time though. So yeah, I think that the whole like go forth, the go forth, the idea for the campaign that comes from a Walt Whitman poem, right? That's actually like in there, isn't it? Isn't it in one of his? Isn't the phrase about go forth, whether it's in O Pioneers or?
Well, he says
Pioneers, O Pioneers, I think is actually the name of the poem.
Yeah, that is. Does he say go forth, my tan
I feel
faced
like I read it.
children.
Yeah, I feel like I read it
Yeah.
somewhere in preparation for this.
Yeah, it is. It's somewhere.
But as I was engaging with it, I was like, this is like pretty relevant right now. I feel like that message is still actually like it could have been created right now. I mean, I think that, and I like that about it. I feel so it's kind of, it's suitable for today's kind of, esprit de corps. I liked how they, just technically speaking, I liked how that banging sound. I
The
didn't
snare
know. Do you know?
drum.
Yeah, I don't know who, but the way that they timed it with when
Yeah.
the guys were running that, I thought at the beginning, I thought that was pretty cool. But it also like it jars you a little bit, right? So it kind of like,
Keeps you.
it's a little but it's a little unsettling. So
Mhm.
it adds to kind of like the mood of the thing.
It's I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's
No,
an
no.
exclamation point, right? It's
Yeah, I guess in a way, but I feel like it's not like, yeah, but I almost, because we were talking about how we were saying earlier, the exclamation point is kind of like, I don't know, like not like a lazy way to do it, but I feel like this is more than that. I feel like this
Sure.
is more like it's just like dropping a firecracker in the middle of something, like in the middle of church or something. I don't know, but not quite, maybe not quite exactly the right comparison, but yeah. So what I didn't, we'll look at this. I want to look at the stuff you have too, but like the print stuff or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like part of it too, like it's very sexual.
yeah.
Like
there is
Walt
some of
Whitman,
that,
by the
right?
way, he was criticized for being overtly sensual and sexual in the tone of his poetry. He got some flack for that sort of stuff. So I think that actually is fitting. I don't know if that's intentional, right? But I think that's fitting that, that kind of connection between how people felt about Walt Whitman's poetry and then kind of, the visuals of this commercial. And we'll see it in, I don't know what print stuff you're going to show, but we'll see it in some of the print stuff too. And so to me, it's a little bit like, yeah, okay, I get it. They're trading on youth and the idea of like, virility and like, your potential and whatever, and being able to like, express that and draw from that to go forth, so it's like go forth and prosper. That was like that kind of suggests, I think, reproduction almost in a way, and in a very like like literal way. But so yeah, but then there's a piece of me that's like, okay, I get it. Like we're using a lot of really attractive young people and they're all like sexy looking and a lot of them aren't wearing shirts. And I realize this is art. I get it. This is art. This is advertising. This is not necessarily about, how realistic can we be? No, I don't think that they're saying the solution is to start wearing their jeans and stop wearing shirts. I obviously was joking earlier, but like, so I don't know. There's a piece in that feels like it's a little like, okay, you know what we can do to make sure people are paying attention to this? Let's like make sure there's a decent amount of like sex in here, things that are like sexy enough. And I don't know. I guess maybe, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but maybe you were also thinking, you know what, I'm kind of, I want kind of flaunt a little of my sexiness, so like maybe that's it had that impact on you as well. Did you have a period of time where you stopped wearing shirts?
You know what? You caught me. No,
this is why you couldn't get a job, because you're showing up to the interviews topless. See, that's a no-go. It's a non-starter for most positions. Right. Maybe a landscaping job, you might be able to get away with that.
Yeah. I don't believe there was ever a time in my life where I sat down and said, I'd like to start flaunting my sexuality. I don't think that's ever.
I'm not saying you like deliberately did it, but I'm wondering if it may be like, just on some level, you're kind of, Matt's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I got some more soul searching to do, apparently.
You said you're going camping this weekend. Maybe I'm going to have to check in on this, just do me a favor and just tally up total minutes where you're topless this weekend while you're camping.
I can add that up for you already, and it will be 0.
Swimming?
So it doesn't look like it's going to be a particularly hot weekend.
Okay.
So I doubt that I will be jumping off the boat. If I do, I will tally the minutes for you that I'm topless.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, possibility thinking, man. All right.
Yeah.
Keep it
No,
in
yeah.
mind.
I just, I know myself pretty well. I know my routines.
So we had a little bit of a Lord of the Flies kind of feel to me too, right? It's like the youth is, and that's sort of, by the way, this is all very well done. So I'm knocking it a little bit, but it's all very well done. The use of sensuality, the complete explicit freedom to be yourself, to do what you want, to jump on things, to like tear your shirt off, to dance around a fire. Yeah, it's all very primal, and it works with the message of the poem and the voiceover. And it's Whedon and Kennedy. These people know what they're doing. All right. So it's all very well done. It is very well done.
Right.
And I guess maybe there's just a piece of me that's kind of like, I wish that I don't know, because to me, it's almost like it's the easy thing to do.
Pandering.
It's the easy thing to do. It's like, let's show some topless, like really attractive people,
Yeah.
Let's see how that works.
It's that cliche of like, well, sex sells, and it's like, if you really believe that, then you don't know how difficult it is to actually put together an ad, right? Like if you think that's just it, like then you're in the wrong business, because there's a whole lot more to it. Does it maybe help, grab some attention? Of course, right? And I think there's plenty of examples to show that, yeah, sure, it does help. But by simply saying sex sells, that's just you showing how little you know about it, right?
Yeah. How many dudes our age that are our age now back then went out to Kaufman's or Lord and Taylor or whatever and picked up some Levi's because they're like, you know what, this kind of speaks to me. I want to feel younger, less inhibited. I want to walk around the streets of some city topless. No, they're not actually going to do it. They're not going to do it, but they're going to buy the Levi's jeans, and there's going to be some of that identification. Am I right? That's how it works.
Well, okay. Maybe to some degree, but I speaking personally, and going back to like me saying that I do have kind of a serious side. I first of all, I used to write a ton of poetry, and a lot of it somewhat angry about angry things. I was an emo. Poetry. I was an emo at one point.
What were you angry about?
Just who knows? I don't know anymore. I'm no longer angry. Isn't that how anger works?
Oh, good. That's awesome. So you got it out.
But I enjoyed that it was kind of like a manifesto, and I think even more relevant to what we are doing here and talking about making a great ad is that it's certainly, and I don't know about in your life, but back at this point, I remember people talking about kind of how strange this ad was, and this was before I really started to learn about advertising and everything like that. And I remember thinking, yeah, but we're talking about it now. If they had just said, hey, there's Levi's, they're $49.99 at Kaufman's, we wouldn't be talking about this now. We wouldn't have been talking about it then. Yes. So I think that there's some, it is powerful in that way. Right. I think you can, and we've done this a number of times, but, relate it back to other great campaigns. So the Volkswagen, right? Think Small, Lemon, like people in advertising probably hated that, right? But they sat around and talked about it, right? People that hated the car were still talking about it, because it was, obviously on a very different level, strange advertising, but this being kind of strange and kind of like overly serious about a not very serious product and decision, a decision to buy pants, like
they're
jeans,
No, but that's it. And it's like, but that's what you got to do because no one gives a rip about jeans.
Right.
right? They don't
Something you
care
wear.
that they're $49.99 at Kaufman's. No, you're right. This
Right.
is an effective ad. I think that they did everything pretty much really, really well. I was just kind of like pointing out something that, for me, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, I think these are great, by the way. Yeah, the
I think these
uniform
are
of
fantastic.
common sense. What a philosophical statement they're making there, right?
about pants.
No, not about pants. This shit's not about pants. This is about what's happening in the economy. This is what's about happening in government, right?
Mhm.
And all that, and big business, and how all that's tied in. And then they're saying, look, if you're not like those people, so again, it's a worldview thing. And they're saying the people, like if you believe these things, you wear Levi's, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's really, yeah.
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 And notice what's
called
missing.
A uniform.
Notice what's missing. I think that's really, really well done and really well thought out. There's no person in it. There's no topless person for you, although there will be. I know you're excited about that. Sorry.
Terribly.
But also it's not just like pants sitting there. It's like obviously posed in a way that matches kind of like the movement of that spot, like the ad spot, like it being in motion, go forth, I like that. Same thing here. They're, like kind of just all over the place when there's work to be done. Right.
I like that.
They knew who they were targeting. Right.
Yeah. And look at the pockets. What do you think? Go back.
Right. That's
those
good point.
Pockets. They pull them. Why do you think they're doing that? Why do you think they're doing that?
I would say, it's like, hey, I've got nothing, but I've got work to do. But is that a little bit too obvious? I don't know.
Well, there's something else somewhere where it talks about, I think we'll see it later, right? That's something about when all you got is what you got or something like that. Yeah, but like they're empty pockets. They're empty pockets, right?
Right. Yeah.
So somewhere in here. Yeah. All I need is all I got. And there you go. And she's walking away from you and she's topless and she's got a dirty bum. So she obviously doesn't give a rip about anything because she'll just sit right down on the moist, muddy ground and just get dirt on her bottom. All right. And so let me tell you, so here's it. I got it now. It took me a second, but now I know why this bothers me. All right. It's the same thing that bothers me when I want my dog, Wrigley. I love you, Wrigley. I do. But when I want my dog, Wrigley, to come to me, he's out sitting in the driveway. He's probably barking at somebody, right? I want him in the house. So I call him. Now, we invested early on in some training, not so much for him, but training for us to learn how to be a good owner of a dog, right? And so it's mostly about training the owners, then training the dog. And so we did, I'd say, a moderate job of doing that, doing the exercises, the training, being consistent with it. And then, you get a little lazy and it starts to fade a little bit. Right. So he'll come to some commands, right. But not as consistently as he should. But you know what you can do if you want your dog to come in, Matt? Lie to him. All right. You can lie to him. Like you're going to give him something, but then actually not give him something. Most of the time you're going to give him that thing. You're going to get a treat. You get a treat. You get a big piece of meat, right? We don't. We use treats. We can do that, right? Why? Because the dog loves that. There's no dog that you're going to put a big old fat steak in front of that is not going to lose its mind over that. They don't exist. I don't believe that, right? So to me, or you know what you could do? You could actually do the work to train your dog, all right? But that's way harder to do. So you take the shortcut and you throw a treat at them. And this is why this stuff bothers me. Because there's no human being that if you show them a naked person or suggest that that person is naked, that is not going to automatically, reflexively pay attention to that thing and have it stir some type of response, desire, whatever, right? I just don't think it's possible. So to me, it's like a cheat, right? It's like you can't help but respond to something when you see someone that's naked or partially naked or suggestive of that. So to me, I don't know. Is it lazy? I don't know if it's lazy, but you see what I'm saying here? Like, I think that's what bothers me about it, right? Is it cheap? I don't know. Does it work? Hell yeah. It works. Does it look awesome? It looks awesome. Does it get old people pissed off and saying stuff like I'm saying right now, but like in different words? 100%. So is it great advertising? Yes. Can I still be bothered by it? You tell me.
Well, I think you've told us. Absolutely. And that's perfectly fine, right?
So, but but I guess we don't talk about it. I think that's what it is about it. It's like, it's the easy way. It's the, like, they're going to have to respond to this, not because of how sophisticated everything is. It all has to be sophisticated, but not because of the craft in this thing, but because they can't help themselves.
Sure. But shouldn't advertising, be, advertising and branding be kind of like a shortcut when you're making that decision, like a mental shortcut, right? Like, so Levi's, all of the things that I've seen, do, brings you to like, or I need pants, so my shortcut is what is cool, like here's what's cool, right? I'm not saying this properly. I'm not using this properly, but, you know what I mean? Like, so why wouldn't you take kind of like the easiest shortcut, right? To get something into somebody's brain. And then help them
justify the means. Sure. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. And I get that. And there's an argument there for sure. I think this is like, and again, this is also, I think this is like a worldview thing. This is a, what you think about a particular thing versus what someone else thinks about that thing, and where you place the emphasis, what the priority is, where the values are on that. So I'm not going to say that. I'm not saying they were, like I said, I'm not even saying they were wrong to do it. I'm saying something about this bothers me. And I think that's, for me, like what it is. Like, it probably because I don't know. There's something about my values. There's something about the way I see the craft. Right. How Erik thinks it should be done. Right. Which just does not mean that's how, Erik over at Whedon and Kennedy, like, should do it. Right. And it's not like the entirety or totality of this campaign is about sex, because it's not. But I'll tell you what screams off to the page to the average person is not the fact that Walt Whitman wrote a poem and they're reciting it. Okay. It's not that. It is not because it's timed with the recession, the Great Recession, though I think that, by the way, is smart and is part of what makes it strong. But to the average person, like, what's working on them? Oh, but maybe it's like a conscious, subconscious. I don't know. It's still well done. I still am a fan of this campaign. I really am.
I think that. Okay, yeah, maybe they don't know that it's Walt Whitman, right? But I think that it is what the, what the poem is. I think that's part of what works for people with this and gets people talking about it, because, if it was just, I mean, you can, and this would be interesting to do. You can completely, and rather obviously, but completely change the way that whole spot works by, like, putting like a rock song over it, right? Like the whole, like all of that visual, all of the sex in it becomes more, like comes out more into the forefront. If it's a Van Halen song, right? Like, think about it, like it completely changes everything about it. And that can probably be said about any ad, right?
Yeah.
Go back a few weeks and, change Nobody Is Normal and change, swap out Creep for, a Van Halen song. I'm not even going to change what I'm thinking there. And yeah, obviously it would completely change
Sure.
the whole thing. But I think this in particular. So I think
Oh yeah,
I think
there's
it's a
something
good
definitely more
mix. I think it's a
sophisticated
really
happening there
I
as
think
a
it's
result of that choice.
right.
I agree. So I agree with you. I think the way that those things are orchestrated is well done. And again, why I think this is a really excellent campaign, because it is smart, as well as being sexy. And honestly, it is jean. I mean, we're talking about jeans. It is
Right.
fashion. It
Yep.
is like people talk about like, how does my butt look? Right. Like that is
Mhm.
definitely like a thing. Right. A
I ask
defining
my wife that
characteristic
every morning.
yeah, I knew that. But yeah, this is a defining characteristic of how I think people relate to pants, specifically jeans. Is like, how do I look? How good do I look in these things? You know, and certainly you pick your style of jean, your cut, all this sort of stuff. Even like people won't wear Levi's because they don't like the way they look in Levi's, right? So they'll wear another brand. Personally for me, I've always been a Bugle Boy fella, and that's why that commercial back in the 90s, where the rock band was doing the thing and then like, they stop and they ask like, I think it's like someone in the crowd, like, excuse me, like, I'm sorry, but like, are those Bugle Boys you're wearing? It's like, well, yeah. I mean, come on, so anyway, so it's no Bugle Boys commercial. All right. You remember those? You remember Bugle Boys?
Not at all.
You don't know Bugle Boys?
I know about Bugle Boys, like absolutely.
Think about that, Bugle Boys. Like, what an extreme. You've got Levi's and what the name Levi's, like everything that's associated with Levi's, which is why you do campaigns like this, because this is Levi's. This is what they want you thinking,
right,
and associating Levi's with. And then because their competitors, they're named Bugle Boys.
Yeah.
The name itself is like marvelous, and then that's the commercial. It's like, I'm sorry, we're going to stop this whole rock concert. I just time out. This guy in the front, I got to know. I'm almost certain this dude's wearing Bugle Boys, but I need to know. Right? Hey, go back to the print stuff. There was the one with like the poem-y thing. Like, show us that one. I want to see that one again, because I feel like there was something to say about that.
There absolutely is.
I am the new American pioneer, looking forward, never back. No longer content to wait for better times, I will work for better times. Yeah, so that's out of the poem, right? Because no one built this country in suits. Is that in the poem? I feel like this is like a hybrid. Is this a hybrid?
Yeah,
all I need is all I got. Bruises heal, stink is good, and apathy is dead. So I strike up for the new world. A newer, mightier world, the one I will make to my liking. For after the darkness comes the dawn, there is a better tomorrow. Look across the plains and mountains and see America's eternal promise, a promise of progress. Go forth with me. It's good, man.
Yeah.
You'd read that. You see that in like an ad, like a magazine, you'd read that for sure. The way that they did the type, like this scrawled kind of handwritten, it's like chalk on chalkboard, but it's not, sort of whatever. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I definitely like also, like, Levi's has this incredible history, right? Like when I think of Levi's like history, I think like Gold Rush, right? Like the actual pioneers, right? The ones that were shaping America, right? And this helps you get there, right? I think the Walt Whitman poem does to some degree, but this really, I mean,
well, I think that's the thing. They don't, because that is I'm not gonna say everyone who knows about Levi's, which like everybody knows about Levi's, right? I mean, who does not know about Levi's? They don't all know, but I think most people know the thing, right? It was the gold rush. It was going west. It was Levi Strauss inventing this whole thing that we call, right? Like jeans now, right? But for me, dungarees, I really do. Dungarees is still my favorite kind of like term for them. Dungarees. I don't know. It's fun to say dungarees, but yeah, so I think you're right. So I think that they connect the dots back to that, and a lot. So like, again, another piece of what makes this pioneers, this go forth, this reestablish the American ideal. Like, it puts it quote on brand because like, well, this is a big piece of like, this is where Levi's came from.
Right.
Was actually people, here's the irony of it. People actually doing the tough, arduous, some of them died thing, right? To actually live it out versus like people that are now buying the jeans to associate with this idea, but are actually not probably doing anything that terribly industrious or like, or precarious, right?
Right. But it's all relative to the situation, to the time period, right? Like, the reason I didn't go discover California is because it's already been discovered, right? Everybody has their own journey, right? Like, you are a pioneer through your own life, right? You're
I think so.
figuring it out as you go
It's
along.
about challenges faced, that instigating the challenge, right? It's about how active I think you are, right? It's about how active, and this is what they're suggesting is like you go forth, you are active, right? You move forward. What I'm suggesting is that I think, and I'm not here to speak to everyone's individual journey or judge anybody. My point is, on average, not just with Levi's, but most of like when you buy a brand name product, you are associating with the ideals of that product. But my point is the pioneers did not have a product to associate with to get the feelings and to tell people what they were about. They literally had to go west and deal with all of the dangers and the hardship and do the thing. Now in our day, we can buy the product that symbolizes that and associate with that self and get the feeling of that without actually having done the thing. That's the point. So I more wanted to speak to just kind of how it shifted, right? That whole thing versus, so Levi's can say go forth. It's like, okay, well, go forth beyond buying and wearing our jeans, maybe, right? Because at that point, they're satisfied, right? They're good.
Yeah, right. So I can safely say that I owe everything to Levi's. My whole
well, look at you now, man.
life.
You've done it. You've
My
done
whole
the
life.
thing. Everything.
They were
man.
like, buy our jeans and shit'll just happen for you, dude.
You don't even need to wear a shirt. Literally all you need are those jeans. You need the jeans.
Oh, well.
How about Jordache?
Yeah. I don't know. Hanging out at the mall.
Which one is the ones that make you feel like a natural woman? Are those, which one was that,
Don't know.
You make me feel like
that wasn't jeans.
Woman. It was jeans, and she's like putting all, and they're always there. Oh, you're always gonna like pulling them up at the end. It's always like that. Boop,
Yeah.
And also usually not wearing a shirt.
Yep. Well, we've learned something about advertising jeans.
Lee jeans. Remember Lee?
Lee, yeah. Are they still around?
I think, I don't know. I just assumed Lee. I assumed all these companies. I don't know that Bugle Boy are necessarily still around.
I can't imagine.
I think
Jordache.
Wrangler's definitely still. I think Wrangler tried to make a comeback recently, right?
Yeah.
They were doing something, right?
Yeah.
They were telling people to come back because they want to make a comeback. So like, look, Levi's, you go forth. Wrangler, you come back. Come on back. Come on home. You've been gone far. That would actually be smart, dude. That would be smart. That would be really smart, right? Come back.
Yeah.
Right. Come back to the ranch.
Yeah.
Come back to Wrangler. It sounds a little bit like it'd be like a beer slogan, right? Come back to the ranch. Come back to Wrangler. Yeah, remember Carpenter jeans? We'll end on this. I feel like is like because this pretty much probably everyone's going to go away because remember Carpenter. There was like a blip, like in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, where Carpenter jeans I think
Never heard of them.
Old Navy, I think, led the charge on this. Because you know what I needed to do when I was 19? I needed a place for my wrench. I needed a place for my
it had the
tape
little-
measure. Yes,
little thing
exactly.
here.
All the yes, not cargo pants, but they were kind of like, and they had the pocket. They were, because that's what I guess when you're a carpenter. I don't know. I'm not a carpenter. I think those are the pants that Jesus wore. He wore carpenter jeans.
There we go.
You know.
Yeah, I'm glad we figured that out. Jesus wore carpenter pants from Old Navy, and a tech vest.
I was gonna say a performance fleece, but
Performance fleece. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Sing the jingle.
I'm glad. I actually don't remember it.
Old Navy, Old Navy, Old Navy performance fleece.